Hey there, today I'm going to make an antenna, and the starting point might sound a bit strange. An empty processed meat can. Don't underestimate it though, this little can is going to become a key part of our homemade antenna setup. Sometimes, the things we're about to throw away can turn into something really useful if we just take a bit of time to tinker and be creative. Doing projects like this is not only fun but also helps me understand more about how signals and antennas actually work. Alright, let me show you step by step how I make it. And if you enjoy this kind of project, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel. First step, make sure to clean the can thoroughly. Even though it's just an old meat can, it's easier to work with when it's clean. Next, drill a hole right in the center of the can's bottom, just big enough to fit the threaded part of the spark plug. Take your time and keep it centered. That way when we assemble the antenna, it'll be sturdy and well aligned. Here in my hand is a simple spark plug. In a moment, I'll attach its threaded part to the outer side of the antenna's bottom. It's a small piece, but it'll play quite an important role in the structure of our setup. To make the connection easier, I've got a single core wire ready. This will take care of part of the wiring process. For now, we'll connect one end of the wire to the ground terminal of the spark plug. Using electrical tape to cover the exposed part of the connection isn't a waste of time. Just wrap it enough so that the threaded part of the spark plug is held firmly in the hole. It keeps the connection safe and secure. Being a bit careful by nature, I'll add some hot glue to secure the threaded part of the spark plug even better. That way it stays stable even if we move or handle it later. Once the hot glue has cooled, I'll drill 3 small holes in the can's body pointing east, west and south, to make the next step easier. Keep an eye on this because this step determines how the other parts will connect. The first small hole will let the wire pass through, making the connection easier. Then I'll drill 2 more small holes symmetrical along the diameter of the can, to attach 2 auxiliary antenna rods. This way the homemade antenna becomes more stable and works better. Here's a bolt and a nut. They'll be used to secure the antenna rods to the holes on the can. In a moment, you'll be surprised to see what the auxiliary antenna rods actually are. When screwing in the bolt, remember to tighten it only halfway, just enough to hold the auxiliary antenna rod on the outside. Inside we still need to do the wiring, so don't screw it in too tight. I've got another single core wire here. This one has a small difference. I've stripped a short section of insulation in the middle to create a three-way connection. The two ends will connect to the auxiliary antenna rods, while the middle section will connect to another single core wire. This setup makes the auxiliary rods and the main wire work together smoothly. To make the connection easier, I'll drill one more small hole in the can's body to pass the other end of the wire through. This keeps all the connections neat and easier to handle. For the threaded end of the spark plug, I'll drill a hole in the can's lid to secure the lid to the spark plug. Once the lid is firmly fixed onto the spark plug, it forms a very solid, almost perfect connection. At this point, the role of the lid has completely changed. It's no longer just a simple can lid. It has become the main antenna rod for the device. Thanks to this connection, the main antenna can stand firm, conduct signals efficiently, and work in harmony with the auxiliary rods we installed earlier. That's why this step is so crucial. Taking a little extra care and double-checking ensures the whole setup will be stable and perform at its best. These two ordinary door keys I'm going to use as two auxiliary antenna rods. Don't underestimate them. They may look simple, but they actually work really well. They're compact, easy to attach to the holes on the can, and help boost the signal reception and transmission of this homemade device. Sometimes, the things we think of as junk turn out to be golden materials, if we know how to make use of them. The antenna base is pretty simple. I'll use a rectangular piece of wood of suitable size to secure the antenna assembly. I'll attach it with hot glue, which is quick and solid. This piece of wood acts as a stable foundation, keeping the whole antenna upright and easy to move if needed. Now we've reached the step of wiring the antenna to the TV, and this part requires a bit of skill with electrical connections. If your eyesight isn't great or you're not used to delicate work, you need to focus extra carefully, don't skip any step. This connection determines the signal in and out, so doing it carefully will help the antenna work steadily and pick up signals better. This simple 2-terminal connector block will make it easy to connect the coaxial cable to the homemade antenna. It's compact but very handy, keeping the connection secure, preventing looseness or short circuits, and helping the signal transmit steadily. For this coaxial cable, here's how we'll connect it. Since the two ends of the antenna wires are already attached to the connector block, we'll split one end of the coaxial cable into two, then connect each to the remaining symmetrical terminals on the block. This ensures the entire circuit is synchronized, and the signal from the antenna goes straight to the TV steadily. For the other end of this coaxial cable, I'll attach a straight F connector and a 90-degree F connector. The purpose is to make it easy to connect to the TV during testing. This setup adds flexibility, allowing you to experiment with different positions and angles while keeping the signal stable. Alright, the homemade antenna assembly is complete. Now it's time to take it out and test it to see how well it receives signals and how the auxiliary rods perform. Right now, I haven't plugged anything in yet, so the TV isn't receiving a signal. Don't rush. This step is just a verification procedure to make sure everything is safe and correct. There's absolutely no trickery involved before connecting, so don't worry. In just 4 seconds the screen is already showing a fairly clear image, but we won't jump to conclusions yet. Let's wait a little longer to see if the signal remains stable before making a proper assessment of the antenna's performance. So far, I haven't noticed any unusual behavior. Therefore, I've decided to unplug the cable and plug it back in to see what happens. This is also a way to test the signal and stability of the homemade antenna before using it long-term. After this, I'm absolutely sure the test was a success, which proves that this device really works well. It's amazing that from an old meat can, a few wires, some keys and simple everyday items, we've been able to create a homemade antenna that's stable and delivers surprisingly clear signals. I've always believed that sometimes the things we think of as trash can turn into valuable tools if we know how to use them creatively. I hope this video inspires you to experiment, make fun DIY projects, and explore new solutions to everyday challenges. If you found it useful and interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's spread these creative ideas together.